Okay, when we last left our heroes, you had continued making progress in battling the giants that are attacking the continent. You had snuck into the fire giants' forge inside the volcano over Neverwinter. The team last session split in half. Half of you went to free the slaves that were stuck to the slave wheel, pushing the buckets, and half of you took the fight straight to Duke Zalto, the head of the fire giants. It was touch and go there for a while. That you did some damage, slammed into the ceiling, slammed them down. They still looked like they still had a long ways to go until Neil cast a fearful spell on them, which brought out their most primal fears. And their most primal fears at that moment were that the storm giants were going to come and assert their authority again and overwhelm them. So they were terrified of Neil as an assumed emissary of the storm giants. They were cowering in front of you. The other half of the team brought out the slaves they had freed. So you sent the fire giants retreating down the mountain, knowing that it would only buy you a few minutes. And you sent the slaves away through teleportation, and we're sort of one other thing is that you also rescued a fire genie that the fire giants had enslaved, and this was the same fire genie who had forged Blaze so long ago. He granted you 3 wishes. Your first wish was that he would reforge Blaze. Your second wish was
dimensional shackles.
He made those for you. And your third wish was
a magic carpet, a magic flying carpet.
Of what size?
So, I'm sorry, you did say that you linked those.
Google 5e carpet of flying.
Yeah, I got it.
So the choices basically are something that could carry everybody slow, or a little sports car that someone could zoom around, do crazy things in.
Which one did we pick?
That's what I'm asking.
That's why we're throwing it to you
right now.
Oh,
I think everybody.
AP and I think the opposite. I think we need the station wagon that's not speedy, but it can get the whole family in there.
I want the Miata.
He wants the Miata. He wants something a little zippier.
I think we've got plenty of people who can move around quickly and stealthily.
Well, this is 80 feet per second. That's super fast.
Well, per 6 seconds, but yeah.
I mean, per 6 seconds, but still, that's
okay. We've heard from 2 people,
and so the
David,
other people
Ben,
should decide.
Ryan.
It's not going to end in a tie here unless someone says they vote for vote.
I vote station wagon.
All right.
Ryan, what do you remember us
station wagon,
choosing?
so there you go.
I think I vote station wagon as well.
All right, station wagon it is.
The Cutlass Cruiser.
No one lets
right.
me have anything fun.
The genie knitted you a large carpet of flying. She rolled in, stuck in your bag of holding, and at this point, the genie, also gave a few gifts to Neil, some pretty awesome triangles, and he took his leave of you.
No, I just need 1 triangle, thank you.
He made you 2.
Okay.
And at this point, the group was discussing what to do next, and Brambrek pulled out a rat that Morgie had previously given Breezy a while ago, and Brambrek said, "Guys, we need help from the storm giants." Brambrek strangled the rat, and then the next thing you knew, water was pouring in, and so one thing, the fire giants forge was flooded. So the fire giants, I don't think will be crafting anything fiery in that room for a long time, because it was suddenly flooded with seawater. And then you all found yourselves deep underwater, and through various athletic or magical means, you were very deep underwater, but you saw a underwater city right below you with one bubble leading to air into the city. And through either magical means or athletic means, most of you got yourself into that bubble. Neil found himself out of spell slots and buffeted by the currents. And the last thing he knew as he was about to lose his fight with the tide was that Brambrecht was right behind him. Brambrecht shoved Neil towards the bubble of air, shoving himself away from the bubble of air. That's just physics. And Neil saw Brambrecht going away from any safety or any possibility of air when Neil got to the underwater bubble. So 7 of you made it to the underwater bubble, all in various, I mean, you were under several, I think I said G's, several atmospheres of pressure. You're all in various states of beat up. And Ariel and Melvin are in fact unconscious. So I'm going to start with Ariel. Ariel, you've lost consciousness, but you find yourself on a cloud surrounded by rainbows, and Princess Celestia is there in front of you. And she says, "Oh, my champion, I'm so happy to see you. I've been tracking your progress and I've seen what you're working on. Very good job. And I see that you just got enough pieces that will take you to Cooper Black. That's so exciting. So I'm so looking forward to you using that immediately and going with your friends to destroy Cooper Black. Great job, champion."
So with these pieces, we can enter into a contract with this Ultraloth, but we're not sure that that will actually help in the search for Cooper Black. Do you think that's worth doing?
Well, I observed your previous discussion with the Ultraloth, and he said he'd take you to a place right outside I think the term is Death Trap Dungeon. He's going to take you right outside the Death Trap Dungeon where Cooper Black is. So that sounds great.
But what if Cooper Black just leaves again? Then I'm worried that we've traded all of these items for nothing.
But if he doesn't leave again, then he's there. So if he leaves again, you're where he's not. And if you stay there, you're where he's not. So it seems like I don't really see the question.
Well, if you think that, I guess my question is whether Cooper Black is involved in any of these giant incursions.
Any of the what?
The incursions of the giants that we've seen throughout the continent. No?
Oh, the big people.
The big people.
Yeah,
yes,
I've seen
big
them.
people.
Yeah, they seem like they're quite a problem. Yeah. What was your question?
Was Cooper Black involved in that in any way? Is that part of his activities?
No, he's trying to kill all life on the planet. No.
No, so he's
No.
not really interested in the big people at all.
Only that he wants to suck their life away.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry if you were misled, if your mission was unclear. No.
It was a bit, I have to say. It was a little bit unclear.
Oh, I'm sorry. Divine omniscience, it's sometimes leave out some
mortals-
details. Yeah.
So your guess is that if we enter into a deal with this Ultraloth, that's going to be the fastest path to finally tracking down Cooper Black.
Well, I've just been following what you were doing. That seemed to be what your investigation had revealed. Such
Well,
good
it's
investigation, by the way.
Certainly one trail of breadcrumbs we were following, but we're always.
Are there any
open-
others?
Well, just whatever your divine providence can provide.
Yeah.
That was the best we had found.
Well, I say you do that right away because stopping
Well,
Cooper Black
I guess
is
I did
very
have one
important.
question for you. Those
Okay.
tools that we had gotten would look like they're awfully powerful for fighting the undead. And my understanding,
Sure, could be.
yes, could be. And my understanding is that what Cooper Black is up to involves the undead. And so I am wondering whether surrendering these tools to the Ultraloth is actually going to hinder us in our quest to stop Cooper Black rather than help us.
Oh, but I was listening. There was another option. You could also give up your 8 magical items and then keep those new tools. And those 8 magical items, they've got these senior gods on them, and sure, the senior gods are pretty good, but you've got me on your side. So you could do that instead.
True. Those have served us awfully well so far, though.
Well, but you've got your rainbow blast. Don't forget about that. Don't let anybody tell you that's not
Oh,
good.
shit.
There is that.
But you are my favorite champion by far. You are the
Speaking
only
of-
person I would trust with this. What? Yes.
Speaking of not favorite champions,
Mm-hmm.
we encountered Ursula recently.
Who's that?
Ursula, I believe that you had her acting as your champion for a little while.
Oh, that's right. And I
When
did
I was-
apologize
I
about that.
disappeared
I
in
was
Barovia.
certain you wouldn't get back. I'm sorry. So that's right. She was the temporary champion. Yeah, but she's not important anymore because you're back.
Yeah, well, that didn't seem to work out so well.
Yes, it worked out great. You're back. We don't need to worry about her anymore.
Except for the part that she's now working with Cooper Black.
Well, it's a good thing that she's not working with us anymore, right? Sounds like she was untrustworthy.
It sure does.
So glad you're back.
You do you screen champions at all before you?
It's
No.
more of a gut feel sort of thing.
Okay, yeah, just wondering about that.
David, it seems like you're trying to talk, but we can't hear you.
I suspect he just switched to the phone to take the dog for a walk or something.
Oh, sorry.
Now we can hear you.
No, the dog. Yeah, I'm on my phone for audio, but the dog turned off the power on the.
So it was
outlet.
dog related.
So, so I've got to. I'm reconnecting on Zoom.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions? It sounds
I'm
like you're
mute
going to
for
go
now.
to this death trap dungeon. It sounds like, and do the mission, and then get home in time for the baby to be born. But babies are born, right? In time for your baby to be hatched. In time for your baby to be grown. In time for the baby.
Well, I certainly
Okay.
hope it works out that way.
Okay. Bye-bye. Okay. Melvin, let's switch to you.
I guess you don't get to pick your patron. It's just that when you're a warlock, you just got to take your magic powers where
It's
you
just
can
part of it. I got my rainbows, so there we are.
All right, Melvin,
Yes.
you have gone through quite an ordeal. You were in a fiery dungeon, and then you were underwater. Then you struggled with all your strength to reach some air, and then you passed out, and you find yourself in a grassy area, and you're surrounded by sheep. There are about, I'd say, 15, maybe 20 sheep around you. You're dressed as you're always dressed. Fenthras is on your back, and the sheep are grazing happily, and they're also nuzzling up next to you. The sheep are treating you like they know you, like they're comfortable with you. It's pretty clear these sheep are in your care. You're in a grassy area. Most of them are munching happily. There are woods about 100, 150 feet away. There's a stream running by with some nice pure water, and about 3 or 4 of the sheep are drinking out of that stream. So you're taking all this in.
Do they
And then-
look like do they make me think of the slaves that we freed in the fire giant's furnace?
Not especially.
All right.
Not
wondered.
especially. But you do feel a kinship to them. You feel like these are I'm here to take care of these. That's what's in your heart.
Are any of the sheep vaguely Goliath shaped?
No, none.
Hmm.
And then the sheep that are drinking out of the stream start bleating loud, bleating, loudly. And you look, and the stream, which was clear a second ago, is now black, and it smells like decay. And there are little bubbles coming up and popping, and the sheep are backing away from it, and they're snuggling up near you, but they're backing away from the river and bleeding. And then the next thing you know, from the woods, two large wolves leap out, and their eyes are red, and there's saliva dripping from their jaws, and they're growling, and they're walking towards the sheep, but the sheep on that side back up near you, and they're all crowding around you, and bah, 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 bah.
Okay, I take Fentress out, and can I attempt to cast a spell in this state?
Sure.
All right. At the very least, I'm going to try and cast a wall of fire that surrounds the sheep and myself. And then I'm going to pray for the intervention of Melora and guidance.
So a circular wall of fire. Can you describe it a little bit more?
Yeah. So I want to enclose the sheep and myself to protect us while I invoke the protection of the goddess.
Okay. All right. You cast wall of fire, and you're on the safe side. The fire part is pushing out, and then you ask Melora for protection. Okay. You don't feel any response to that prayer.
Oof. Nice. Okay. Can I?
At this point, let's see. Okay, that's good. Yeah, at this point, both the wolves burst through the wall of fire, and their fur is singed and they're smoking, but they've been damaged by the fire, obviously, but they're still coming.
Okay. So I'm going to move to meet them, and let's see. Do they appear to be natural wolves? Are they? Is there anything that makes me think perhaps they are some form of undead?
They don't appear to be undead.
Okay.
They appear to be neither undead nor
natural.
natural. It's not. They're more menacing than the average. Well, this wolf just needs something to eat, and that's the circle of life. They're bad wolves.
They're doing something.
They're big and bad.
Okay. Well, continuing with the idea that I'm going to use the benefits that I know Melora has given me, I'm going to shoot a fireball at them.
Okay. All right. Describe how you do that.
So I just, whirl Fentress around a few times, and then and a huge ball of fire bursts from its end towards them and speeds in their way. And you tell me what happens.
Yes, you do that, and both the wolves are blown back. They're blown back by the fireball out of the wall of fire, and I'll say that you can somehow magically see through the wall of fire, and you see that they're laying there dead, and the sheep have calmed down. They have there's still fire all around them, but they're feeling better. At this point, the scene changes. The wall of fire disappears. The two deceased wolves disappear. The stream, which was black and smelling of rot, disappears, and the sheep disappear, and it all swirls around. And then you find yourself in a forest clearing. And in the forest clearing, a robin flies up, lands on a branch near you, looks at you, and says to you in a voice that is the same voice you've heard Melora use when she's talked to you before. The robin looks at you and says, "Why did you do that?"
Because I thought it was my job to protect the sheep.
Okay. A squirrel comes on a nearby branch. It looks at you and it says, "The wolves would have killed 2 or 3 of the sheep. Without fresh water, all the sheep would die. I ask again, why did you do that?"
The only answer I have for you, Melora, is that I thought it was the most pressing problem that I could address. But if that judgment was wrong, I accept it.
The mouse walks up to your feet. Pressing problem. Pressing problem. Something to consider. The world faces two threats right now. And then a snake comes up right beside the mouse. The snake says, the giants and the monks present an even greater threat than you may realize, even with the progress you and your friends have made. Also, Orcus and his minions threaten all that lives. A woodchuck walks up. Two threats. The giants and Orcus. The wolves and the poisoned water. Which one do you focus your attention on?
Is there any way that wolves unpoison water? Can we solve both at the same time?
An eagle lands and says to you, I never underestimate the ingenuity of mortals, but I do not know of any way to solve both at the same time.
Don't the wolves have to drink from the water as well?
The so a ferret comes up and says, if you're saying that Orcus threatens the giants, you are correct. But that does not reduce the threat from the giants. And then it says, my brothers and sisters are watching these two threats, and we are not all in agreement. Some of us, like Ioun, the knowing mistress, and the matron of ravens, they see Orcus as the only threat worth a response. They would say that without fresh water, all the sheep will eventually die. To them, the giants and the scoundrels are but a distraction. But others, like myself, and like the storm god Cord, we see the destruction that is being waged now and that will increase without measure if Shogun achieves his aims. We would not purify the water while wolves tear apart our sheep. But
do you leave this in my judgment, or are you asking me to follow your will more?
This is the way of things. Gods can advise, gods can bless, but only mortals can choose. What you and your fellows choose may bend the arc of history, even more than the actions of the gods. But what you choose is up to you.
Well, I strive to do justice and righteousness in your name, as I always have, except with those goblins. That's just a character flaw of mine. We've gone through that before.
Yes. Yeah. We, mortals impress me with their strengths and their weaknesses. But you have two threats, the water and the wolves, the necromancer and the giants. Your friends are on the cusp of making a decision. I can only trust that what you decide will be of benefit to the world.
We thank you for your kindness and the care that you lavish on this world. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be your representative.
You are my representative. You've come so far from a man of the woods to a man representing me in the world. Now I'd like to make you fully one of my representatives, if you are willing.
This is a great honor you do me. What would you have me do?
Just accept. You'll be a full cleric of Melara.
I accept gladly.
Best wishes to you. Good luck in your discussions with the storm giants.
Thank you.
They're an interesting people. At this point, you wake up, and instead of being a part ranger, part cleric, you're a level 14 cleric.
Whoa. Alrighty.
Wow.
Okay. So all of you are in you're sort of coming to and or recovering from being battered. You're in a round stone chamber. There was like a sort of I'll say small, a 20 or 30 foot room with a magical bubble around it that you came in. And there's a larger, like 60-foot round room that most of you are laying in now. There are only 7 of you. Brambrick is not with you, but all of you are conscious.
So is this like a giant hot tub, or is this like a giant, whatever you call the place where a water slide dumps everyone out?
Good question. So the room is mostly dry. It's roughly spherical. It's mostly dry. About a quarter or a third of it is a large pool that you can see going down. And then the sort of antechamber that you came in has a warm pool in there. And do you want to give me a nature check? How about, let's say, Thrax and I don't know. Thrax asked. Give me a nature check.
Yeah, all right.
Or perception.
Yeah, I just did nature and I got a 2.
Okay. Some water in the bottom and like a magical bubble of water at the top.
Great.
But solid, like we can stand on the ground.
Mhm.
And then there's the pools. We didn't land in a pool, but they're on the ground and seem to connect to water on the outside. Or can I peer down inside the pool and look and see? Is it have a bottom in the pool?
The smaller pool near where you got in, it sort of
Yeah,
leads
the
down
warm one.
into rocks. And the larger one in the larger room you're in, it seems to go down and have a tunnel going off to the side.
After looking up from that, I
Smells
look
salty.
around. After looking up from that, I look around at everybody and say, "Is this it? What happened? And where's Brambrick?"
And he was with us when we.
Yeah, the entire place flooded with water. He was twisting a rat's neck in hopes of summoning Morgie. I thought. I'm confused. I thought we were going to talk with her again and try to weasel through. Well, maybe that's a poor choice of words. I guess weasel rat. That we were going to try to avoid the pitfalls of a duplicitous contract with her evil nature again. Where is he? Did anyone see him?
Back, it seemed like he was back with Neil. Neil, what happened?
You're on mute.
Sorry.
Actually,
I was about to die and drown, and I felt the big push from both of Brambrick's legs, and he pushed me into here. That's why I survived. But he went in the opposite direction. So I don't know where he is. I think he's still
Opposite.
in the water somewhere.
yeah, what do you mean opposite?
Yeah, that's that. Why would he do that? But we appear to be hundreds and hundreds of feet underwater. There's no way even such a strong athlete as himself could survive out here, in plate mail armor, no less. You're telling us that he did not come toward this magical bubble refuge that we found here?
Not that I saw.
can I go up to the edge of the bubble and kind of like see if I can peer out?
Yeah, give me a perception check.
19.
Okay. Yeah, but not good enough. You look the direction that Neil indicated, and you can't see Brambrack.
I look another couple of directions just to be sure. And not seeing anything, I turn back around at the rest of the group. Should we try to contact him magically and see if perhaps he landed in a different bubble?
At this point, I'm gonna Ariel's gonna open up his he has the book of the protectors that can help keep people safe, and it has people's names written in there to help protect them should they ever fall in battle, to help them spring back up. And I was gonna look to see if there was any indication in that book about whether anything had happened to Brambrack or not.
All right. I know you gave me a heads up, but I still need to it's called Book of the Protectors.
Gift. It's called Gift of the Protectors. It doesn't look like there would be anything obvious. It'd be up to you.
Sure.
It doesn't say that there would be any indication. It's a Eldritch Invocation.
Okay.
Thing.
Yeah, you look there. His name is still written there, along with I believe Schmax and Thrax. His name is still written there.
I'm gonna ask around. Does anyone have anything that Brambrack had on him? Perhaps a piece of cloth, or because I'd like to cast scrying.
Do we see any of his equipment or the dead rat or any of that? Did that land in our room here?
Nope.
Wait a minute. What about the bag of holding? That's where all of our cash was.
A lot of stuff.
I think
yeah.
I think I have like 10 gold pieces here, at least written down in my ledger. And then of course, everything that I had on me and my spell components. But he had quite a bit of stuff with him.
He did.
I don't think I have anything that he had. I'm just rummaging through my bag. I don't know if he ever touched this potion of healing. Probably not. Did he touch the iron flask? No, I don't think so. Yeah, I'm afraid the dragon wang is gone, long gone. Dragon wang. I will cast sending and try to reach him magically and say, Brambrack, respond to this message if you can. We've landed underwater after the forge flooded.
Okay.
And then I'll wait for a response.
You get the same feeling that you got when Melvin disappeared back after you got back from Barovia. You try to send, and the sending spell does not take. And you remember everyone you talked to, you didn't think it could be true, and in the end it was not true. But everyone you talked to said, if you've tried that sending spell and it didn't work, your friend is dead. And you get that same feeling that spell not working.
So I'll relate that to everyone and say, from what happened before, normally this person must either be dead, or maybe something unusual like what happened to you, Melvin, where you ostensibly became a different person, happened because he's not contactable. And I don't know if we have any ability to magically revive someone, but all of the techniques that I've read about require the body. I'd love to be the man with the plan, but I don't have any ideas.
Let me cast scrying to see if I can see him.
Could he be on another plane?
Hear him.
I'll just, a word of caution. I don't know that there's much that we can do for him immediately. And given that we don't know where we are or what's going on, I worry about using all of our spell slots to investigate Brambrecht's location right now. As much as I want to find him as too, maybe we need to figure out whether we're safe ourselves first.
Okay, and scrying does take 10 minutes, so you can enter. I was going to say he did it, but you can interrupt that 10-minute process if you want.
Just a word before he does. So
No, I'm fine, and I figure we will. While I'm doing this, maybe somebody else can cast detect magic or see if there's some, look around and make sure we're okay.
Okay.
Investigate around.
Yeah, as you sort of get over the initial shock of where you are and what's going on, you hear there's a spiral staircase in the room, and you hear from up the spiral staircase, you hear harp music and someone singing. Can't make out the words, and the words are in Giant, but that's what you hear.
Oh, it isn't Giant, guys.
Can I'll cast comprehend languages.
All right.
So listen to the music.
Well, I can speak Giant. I just can't hear it.
Okay.
We may need to go closer.
I thought Brambrecht was the only one who spoke Giant.
Nope, I do.
Melvin speaks Giant, and Thrax in the past has understood the Giant language when he's heard it spoken.
Yeah, by surprise. And now he might be able to rely on that. Well, or at least chance it.
So yeah, at the moment, I mean, it's in a foreign language. It's sort of muffled. It's from another floor. I mean, you get sort of poetic words, flowers, fish, more fish, like that.
There aren't undersea giants, guys, as far as I know. Khalifa, are you aware of any giants that live in like pineapples under the sea or anything?
No, not at all. But as has been discussed, the storm giants, no one really knew where their kingdom was. So it stands to reason that since Brambrecht's possibly last attempt to aid us in moving forward with cleansing this scourge sent us to the storm giants' kingdom. Perhaps that's why it's so difficult for people to know where it is that it's under the sea. The storms are often associated with shipwrecks at sea, and certainly the sea is one of the most powerful natural phenomena in our known world. And I begin to regale him with tales of many legends of monsters under the sea and creatures that rose from the sea and demolished seaside communities, and people that prayed to the sea in order to do things. It's a pretty exhaustive list, and anytime you guys get bored, you can just go ahead and interrupt Khalifa.
So Thrax interrupts and says, "Are there water giants?"
Oh yes, that was your original question. No, there are not.
I will say, Khalifa, that when you did your research at the library on the storm giants, nobody really knew where they were based, but it was always out over the ocean, maybe an island, maybe undersea.
Right.
Those
We
are the ones that
assumed
work.
island because we didn't know, but yeah, I guess I didn't know that it was under the sea. But that's my deduction.
Yeah, and when I say spiral staircase, there's 3 or 4 feet between each stair. It's giant looking.
Cool.
Well, does anyone need to bind any wounds before we send a scout to investigate?
Hey, guys, I'm waking up. I'm feeling a little funny here. I feel kind of.
You don't look humorous to me.
Well, I feel different. Like when I was unconscious, Melora appeared to me, and I think I'm just a cleric now. But I've also got this
Quick, track Bramber. See if you have your tracking skills.
but there's still actually humorously, my survival bonus has gone up substantially since changing over. Anyway, I say this only because I really feel like I've got a lot of healing capacity that perhaps I didn't have as much before, so I can also do that.
Do you have true resurrection? Can you bring back Brambrek even without his body?
I don't think that spell is available to me yet.
I think you still need the body for true resurrection, no? Or no?
I don't really know. I'm just a wizard.
Let me look. I'll look it up and see if if I need to. So resurrection, you touch a dead creature, so you have to have the body. And I would also need, I think, a substantially valuable diamond, which I don't know that we have. But my understanding is that there are spells available to me now that if we found his body, even if he had been dead quite some time, that I might yet be able to bring him back if he wanted to be brought back.
That presumes that he's dead.
If he were dead.
Okay.
Well, as I've said before, although I was wrong the last time, sending should work and reach someone even on other planes of existence. And if he's not, and it's not just that he's not responding, I'm not sensing that my message was delivered. So my conclusion, in conjunction with the context clues of Neil seeing him drift out to sea, is that our beloved protector and warrior friend has passed into the great beyond, and his life is no more. Doesn't mean I'm happy about it.
Are we ready for scrying? Let's see what we can do with scrying.
Try it and try to scry on, for example, the bag of holding. Not that that's the most important thing I think of with associated with him, but if you only found that, it would still be helpful.
Can you scry on a
Or
thing?
does it have to be a person? I don't know, actually.
You can locate objects, I
It has to be a
suppose.
creature.
Oh,
It
okay,
has to be
okay.
a creature.
You could do your locate objects thing next. That'll be next.
Yeah, exactly.
I rolled
okay.
a 15.
Yeah, you try to scry and the spell does not go off.
Mm.
Man.
Well, should we try to locate an object? I mean, if he's that far away, then
Yeah, I mean, that is a range of 1,000 feet, right?
Yeah, so it
Yeah.
seems unlikely he'd be that close by if he kicked away from you, Neil. Were,
Did
were you,
anybody
were we, how
slip-
far were we from the bubble with when you last saw him?
It seems like it was less
Probably
than
more
500
than
feet
500
then
feet.
because I think, because you may have been behind us, but I was able to dimension door in here and
Well, if we could
I'm
I'm pretty
find,
sure that Brambrecht pushing Neil can send Neil a far way.
yeah.
but I mean, if we could find even his body this way, that would, then maybe we could take advantage of Melvin's powers.
I'd say we should try to locate object. Maybe it's close enough. If 1,000 feet, it's possible.
It's worth
Then
it.
at
I mean,
least-
this is, if
then we
we
have
could
a
find
target.
Brambrecht's body and
Maybe scry something that, or excuse me, locate object on something that he's wearing to see if we can find him. I guess that's probably better than the bag of holding.
maybe his plate.
Okay, you do this and nothing pings, nothing within 1,000 feet.
All right, I'd like to try
Curses.
something else. Is there any seaweed around?
Yes, there is.
I knew you were going to say that as soon as you said that.
Yes, there is.
So can I speak through, will seaweed be able to hear me through the bubble?
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to ask the seaweed. I say, hey, seaweed, how you doing?
Oh, pretty good, pretty good. It's you're new around here. Are you stuck? Can you breathe under there? Do you want to come out here in the water?
No, I'm good here, thank you. I'm just glad you can hear me through the vibrations through this bubble. That's good.
Yeah. You look a
So
little dry.
You
sure
you
you're
have
okay?
a lot. Yes. It was nice in the water. I was just there. You must have a lot of cousins floating around up there, right?
Sure thing. Sure thing. All one big happy family
So,
down here.
Yeah, I was wondering if maybe you could consult with a bunch of your cousins and see if anyone has seen a very, very large Goliath. You know what a Goliath is?
Well, some of the people that live here, I mean, I don't know, are they normal size? They come swimming around here all the time. Larger than them?
Well, wait, so who comes swimming around here?
The people who live in the city where you are, they can breathe
You
underwater.
mean
and
inside
they
this
come-
bubble?
Yes.
There are people who live in here. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So bigger than them, smaller than them?
Well, probably. You see how big I am?
Yeah, you're smaller than they are.
Yeah, probably what the Goliath I'm looking for is probably about 20 times larger than I am. Is that right?
About
No, not
I'm
that big.
s-
No, 4 times? 4 times?
what does that mean? Many times?
Plants
Yeah,
don't do math.
Plants are not good with math.
I got one, I got two, I got many. That's what I got.
Many. Let's go with many.
Many.
So he's
But
bigger than
small-
you.
But
All right.
small, many times bigger than him.
I mean, I just saw like
Hey, Thresh,
many of
Thresh,
you
come
go
here.
into that bubble. Just like 10 minutes ago, many of you went into that bubble.
No, but did you see the one that went that way?
Let me put the word out to some of my friends. It takes a minute. He says, yeah, something went that way. Something.
Did you see what happened to it? Did it go that way and then back down that way in another place?
So it goes, it waits a minute. It says, yeah, some of my cousins are out there. They say, yeah, something went the other way, but they don't think it was like a person. It just sort of flopped, and it didn't swim like you and your friends did. It just sort of flopped. They think it was
Well,
like
it's either Brambrecht or the bag of holding. Was it
yeah,
was
wasn't
it was it all brown, or did it have armor on? Was it shiny? When it got closer to the surface, was it shiny?
okay. The word goes out and it comes back and they say, I don't know, can't describe it, brown or shiny. It didn't move. And then it started sort of to dissolve. You know, some things dissolve in water. They just dissolve. It did that.
Gold is certain. Gold in a bag of holding is certainly not going to dissolve in water. That must have been Brambrecht. Magically dissolving?
Any luck, Neil? I'm sorry. When you do this talk with plants things, I can kind of see your lips moving, but I'm not sure if you're still talking to them or just thinking about it.
Yeah, I'm. Do you know? So it just dissolved, huh? So.
And it said there's one other
body.
There's one other thing that my friends way out there, like where it started to dissolve, was so the water that we're in, we have a word for it. We call it salty. But when this thing started to dissolve, it had a different feeling than salty. It was something we don't have a word for. It was something else, not salty.
Maybe fresh.
Oh, we get fresh water through here every now and then. No, it was something in the water that wasn't salt. Yeah, I mean, that's, you're getting this 50th hand from my seaweed cousins out there. So that's the best you're going to get.
Yeah.
They should have a word for sweet, because like, you know how like if you bite your lip, you can kind of taste like blood, like that iron. So if they like get injured, they should be able to taste like the sweet, phloem or whatever that's going through there, the sap. Maybe not.
Sorry, that was a mosquito. That wasn't you, but either way.
Either way. Hunter.
Tastes like pie.
All right.
Like pie.
Well, are there a lot of people who come down here into this bubble where I am? Still talking to the plant.
I mean, the big people who live there, they usually don't go through that bubble. They usually go through sort of the middle of the city. Really, the only thing this bubble's for is every so often, super hot water comes out of it. You probably don't want to be standing there when that happens.
Where does that come out?
Right out of that bubble. It's like on a regular basis. It's like every so often. It's pretty regular. You can we that's how we measure time.
Do you know when the last time that happened was?
You're about in the middle of the cycle now. You got a little while. Like as long as we've been talking, you've got a lot more than that.
Many more.
Many more.
Okay. I think I've we've got our mind connection. Anyone else have any other questions for my friend, Mr. Seaweed? All right.
It was worth a shot.
All right.
But it sounds like he drifted off to the surface. I don't know if the plants know what they're talking about with this dissolving. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense. Would take weeks for a body to decompose like that. Well, does anyone else have any other ideas?
Well, we do finally have all the tools we need to contact that Ultraloth. So while I was unconscious, I saw a vision of my patron, Princess Celestia, and she reminded me of the existential threat our plane is facing from Orcus.
Hmm.
And we finally, now that we have the complete set of the armor, the shield, and blaze, we could call back that Ultraloth and be on our way to find Cooper Black. I know that we've been after these giants because we didn't see any other way to contact Cooper Black, but now we finally found our way.
So I also heard some disturbing news about the threat posed, and I suppose Cooper Black must be wrapped up in it by Orcus and his minions of hell. But my communication with Melora was much more equivocal, of saying that both the giants and Orcus pose what she thought was existential threats to the world. And she left it to me to decide which, not for everyone, but for myself, which of those thoughts or of those threats might be more pressing. And while I understand where you're coming from, Ariel, I still think that following the giants, particularly if this is the Storm Giant headquarters, we may be closer than we think to finishing that and turning our full attention to Cooper Black. The other thought that I have is that this scrying spell that Neil just tried, I think, is something we didn't have to spy on Cooper Black before.
I think we did try scrying before.
Did we?
He has some sort of
Yeah, I think
special
so.
way to hide from scrying.
I don't think I had ever seen him. I'd had no contact with him. It was, and it's a wisdom saving throw. So
But we know he has a tattoo that
probably
allows
very
him
easy for
to
him.
hide from scrying.
Yeah, I think
What-
his
what-
tattoo may even completely block scrying and
Hmm.
other divination of
I mean,
his.
that was the reason we were even entertaining the possibility of this Ultraloth, was that we had really no other way to find him. And so now we finally have the tools.
I just wonder if we should, before we summon the Ultraloth, and I'm not saying that I'm against that, I'm just saying, should we again scour our resources to see if there isn't, perhaps I could try and commune with Melora. There's something that I believe I have access to now that I didn't before, but I would need to have a long rest to change my spells and prepare that one, that might give us information or answers. But I just
Divine
think
intervention is
before,
the sort of thing we might need, I think.
yeah, I just think before we try and bargain with an Ultraloth, who, for all of its potential lawful respect for the law, it was just neutral even. I worry about our ability to successfully bargain with the Ultraloth in a way that will result in us getting what we want.
I share your concerns, but at the same time, I think you appreciate what a threat Cooper Black is to this
Mhm.
plane. And I feel like we've been distracted for a long time, and not because the giants are not a big threat as well, but I think it really is a distraction from the thing that we need to deal with. And without stopping Cooper Black, there'll be nothing to save the giants from, to save from the giants. I mean, that's
Fair.
An hour ago, Ariel, I would have agreed with you. I think I said a few days ago that I've come around, and you've been supporting the other missions that we've discovered, including rescuing my mother. Thank you for that, by the way. and doing things directly, well, not in opposition, but completely unrelated to stopping Cooper Black. In fact, I still feel a pang of guilt that I sat down and treated with him, and since it was not a conflict, we then went our separate ways without me stopping him. I guess at the time I just didn't realize how evil he was, despite warnings from both you and Breezy. But that being said, we've also been looking for the storm giants, and now we find ourselves, by some miracle, by Brambrecht's sacrifice, potentially being here. So I think that I've turned 180 degrees again, and I think it makes sense to investigate this, knowing that we still need to save the world from Cooper Black and the evil of Orcus, demon prince of the undead.
This is where Thrax joins in and says, and I want to know what I am and who I am.
We're here already. I think at the very least, we should go upstairs and find out what we can find out here.
When you say upstairs, the song upstairs stops and there's a smattering of polite clapping. Coincidentally, but
Awesome.
What do you say, Ariel?
Well,
One more time with feeling.
one more time with feeling. I mean, I would hate Brambrecht's sacrifice to be in vain. I suppose it's worth it to go upstairs. And maybe at least we can find something that can help us in our fight against Cooper Black. The
And we
storm
still
giant
do
can prove a
Elwap, but-
powerful ally.
Well, I don't after that swim, I don't really love the idea of climbing up 4-foot stairs all the way up. We've got this fancy new flying carpet. I think I think that perhaps Ariel, since you lost on the station wagon choice and are graciously yielding on going upstairs, I think you should be the one to select the command word for the flying carpet. And let's use it to make an impressive entrance.
Oh, geez. We still have the carpet, right?
oh yeah. Oh, I said that was in the bag of holding. Well, I'll say you still have the carpet in some way or form or fashion.
Somewhere.
I was examining it. I'm fascinated by what a powerful magical item it was. That and the iron flask. We were going to put it in the magic carpet, but then Brambrecht did the twist. So
Are you sure that we didn't put it in the Raton Laveur in order to get it washed? Because if we put it in there, it actually cleans it while storing it.
So what's the command word, Ariel?
I'm trying to remember how to pronounce that guy's name.
These nuts.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what was the guy who sang that song in Aladdin? Piabo. Is that
That's
his-
sang the carpet?
No, the magic carpet ride guy. Didn't he do the? Anyway, we could do. D's nuts is excellent.
Steppenwolf.
Thank you. You beat me to it. Who was that?
There you go, Steppenwolf. I like that. That's perfect.
All right, Steppenwolf it is. Who gets on the up to 800 pounds of you can get on the carpet? We'll say Neil's a rounding error. I think Clearly, Schmax and Breezy, they got to walk. So, guess the 5 of you get on it.
That sounds right.
Right. And while you're arranging yourself on the carpet, the music starts up again from upstairs. It's a little more faster paced song this time. A little bit of dancing. Some of the people are clapping. So with Breezy and Schmax lumbering up the, well, actually those two
We
are,
can just go
are
more
like,
slowly on the carpet, right? Can't it go half speed with double the weight?
I don't.
I think so.
But those
Yeah.
two could like backflip up the stairs.
Oh yeah, well, I don't want to stop them from doing backflips.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
All right. So they're tumbling up the stairs. As you fly up the stairs, you come into a quite large, maybe double the size of the room that you were just in. Quite large room. A great hall, you might even say. And in this hall, you see 5 giants, taller than, comparable to the cloud giants, but taller than any other giant you've seen. And they have blue skin. You see 5 of them. One of them is playing. It's a harp, but it's sort of a truncated harp. It only has the long strings, and he's playing that, and he's singing. And you look around. There are 4 other giants listening. One of them being Vasha, the naturalist, who you met outside of Silvery Moon. She was the old acquaintance of the High Druid of Silvery Moon. So as you tumble / fly up on your flying carpet, the singing stops, but the one and the harp keeps playing a little bit, and everybody looks at you. And there's like a heartbeat of silence. Unless one of you wants to step in, Vasha says, "Oh, hello. Yes," and sort of tries to, there's a bit of edge in the room. She says, "Yes, I know these small folk. Yes, hello. Welcome to our city. How did you get here?" And she walks closer to you. And she sees, you're all soaked and beaten. And she says, I'm glad you survived the trip down here. Not many small folk do. Did you want to talk to me? What brings you here? And she whispers, have there been any developments in what we discussed before? And everybody in the room is looking at you. Again, the harp players sort of going a little cycle there.
Can I call a timeout and just, what did we discuss with her before? Does anybody remember?
I think she
I'm
told us
looking at
about
my notes.
Pretty sure she's the one who told us about the hag and the fact that the prince went missing because they'll never, as long as you'll never see evil again, sort of the deal that went wrong with the hags. I think she told us about that.
And what she learned from you was that there's a war between the giants and small folk. She claimed that couldn't be happening. So from her point of view, what she learned in that conversation is that giants are destroying small folk cities, and she didn't entirely believe it. She didn't entirely not believe it, but that's what when she says, what we talked about earlier, that's seems to be what she's talking about.
So, I'm not sure if this is appropriate based on our objectives, but it seems like I should regale her with an elaborate story of what we just went through and all of the giant attacks against cities and our defenses and our attacks against the fire giants and driving them away and getting to this place. So I feel like I should.
And you're saying this loudly?
No, just to her whispering. Like she was, she wants to know.
Okay. I mean, everybody in the room is looking at you, so you can whisper for a couple seconds, but it's going to start to get.
So
Oh,
Neil, if you want to
suspicious.
tell our saga, right? I mean, you can do that, and you can at the same time explain the strange discovery that Thrax might be the giant prince.
I would do that rhythmically.
That's up to you, I think, Thrax, to decide whether or not you want to
Yeah.
let that cat out of the bag.
No, Thrax is okay letting the cat out of the bag. Jay, correct me if I'm wrong, but have we ever seen these kinds of giants before?
Well, you saw this specific giant, yeah. So
This
you've
one, but the
seen
rest
one,
of them.
and that was this woman, yes.
Are the rest of them like identifiably hill giants or fire
No,
giants?
they're identifiably the same type of giant as her.
As her.
So
And-
they're all
they're-
storm
and
giants, and
she's-
she's a storm giant.
And why is she friendly to us?
I mean, she met you. You were friends with the High Druid of Silvery Moon. She and he had a romantic encounter about a century ago, and are still buds. And so you told her about the giant attack. She told you about the misbegotten deal from 100 years ago that led to the giant prince going. You're not best friends, but you've had a good interaction.
Okay.
And she was going to try
Because,
to. Yeah, she was going to try to
these are
see
the
if she
first
could convince the
giants that
king.
we've come across that don't try to kill us.
I mean, the cloud giants just like being superior to you, so that's something.
They liked thinking they were superior to us.
From an altitude point of view, they were superior to you.
I try to butt in as Neil's talking with the lady, and I say, "Is one of these King Hecaton? Perhaps we've have the audience that we've sought.
Okay.
Maybe we can convince him."
All right. So I guess Neil was whispering just for a second, because a few seconds, because that would be awkward and weird. And then you come in and ask if it's King Hecaton. She says, "No. Let me introduce you. Let me introduce my small folk friend." She speaks louder. "My small folk friends. These are heroes from the continent, heroes of the small folk. And I've met them before. This is," and she points first towards one of the male giants. She says, "This is Vol, brother of King Hecaton." She points to another male giant. "This is Uthor, the chief arcanist and arcane advisor to King Hecaton." And she points at the guy on the harp. "This is Ligeti. He's our entertainer." And she points to the woman. "And this is Queen Neri. Queen Neri, queen of the storm giants and wife to King Hecaton."
Wow. So does Thrax feel any recognition when he sees these people?
Give me a perception check.
Ten.
Nope.
So I'm just as mystified as they are, but in theory, they are my parents.
The
Biological.
king's not there. The king's not there. The queen is.
The queen is.
His brother is there. So she says,
Neil,
and at that point, the queen steps
to.
forward and says, the royal court of the storm giants welcomes you. We hold our small folk brothers in high esteem. And Vasha tells us you are heroes. You're welcome here. Let us extend our hospitality. Ligeti, some cheerful music. And he starts, playing a little bit more.
Can I go jam with Ligeti, please?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
I
And
feel-
while you're
I feel
jamming,
I feel fulfilled.
Give me a performance check.
I thought you'd never ask.
Now,
Oh my God, I rolled a 2. It's my worst possible roll, a 10.
okay. All right. It's I mean, you're trying to incorporate the drum and the new triangle, and it's like your reach extends your grasp. Maybe if you had stuck with just the drum, it would have gone really well, but you're trying to show off your new triangle. It's you know, it's adequate. And you're on your worst day, you're still pretty good. But
wait, are you casting fear?
oh, that's right. That was the fear triangle, wasn't it? I don't know.
No. The triangle has nothing to do with fear.
So
Okay,
so-
so can Thrax like approach the queen and kind of off to the side and say, "Are you my mother?"
is that what you want to do?
Or Dr. Seuss or whatever that was.
Are you my mommy?
Mm. Yeah, I'm not actually sure.
Okay.
Could be exciting.
All right. Well, you know, she has welcomed you to the royal court. The music has started with Ligeti and Neil, and people are starting to mingle. People are starting to approach you and chat with you. The chief arcanist, whose name was Uthor, he approaches you, Khalifa. He says, I appreciate your robes with the symbols of the arcane on them. Is that a spell book you have with you? Are you a fellow student of the arcane?
I give him a respectful nod and say that I'm Khalifa, high elf from the town of Silvery Moon, and yes, I do study the arcane arts. I have I've gained this this spell book as an item that's helped me, and I kind of explain that I've gone from being just a librarian and a dabbler in the arcane arts to try to hone my craft and master magic more as I've traveled with these folks to right wrongs and go on adventures. So yes,
Right.
I guess to answer your question.
And he says, it's you know, our queen has offered you her hospitality as she always does. We're happy to have visitors, but I must admit, surprised to have visitors. Are you the source of the visit? Did you use an arcane means to teleport here? We do try to keep our location secret.
It is a bit more complicated than that. And I can assure you that this location is secret even from us, as we did not choose our destination, but we're sent. We're on a mission from a god, I guess you might say. That was for Ryan. I knew I'd get Ryan. Almost made him choke on his beer. And I appreciate your concern about security, but we don't know how we arrived here per se, only that we were sent here by a very magical being who apparently did know how to get here.
You say you're on a mission. What sort of mission is this? I trust that it does not intend any harm to the storm giants.
I then kind of start. This time, I'm intentionally obfuscating what the mission is because I don't actually want to tell him. I don't want to spill the beans about Thrax's potential parentage and so forth. So I start going way back, all the way to the beginning of our campaign, and I tell him about how we met and this and that. And I tell him about our travels to Barovia, and I try to intentionally bore
You're
him.
very good at filibustering. So we'll switch to
Yes.
Vasha, who's the one that you had met previously. And she pulls Melvin aside. She says, fellow student of nature, let's talk quietly off to the side of the room. So I've tried feeling out the king, tried to subtly suggest that there might be violence between giants and small folk, and he wouldn't hear it. He respects my opinion, so I was trying to sort of go slow and introduce the subject to him. I thought maybe I'd bring him around in a year or so. Didn't want to rush it, but what developments are there? It's something obviously has brought you here.
There have been many developments. We banished the hill giants from, am I getting this right? The hill giants, not stone giants?
You told her about the hill giants previously. That was before you had met her.
We banished the hill giants from
Baldur's Gate.
Baldur's Gate, thank you. I need to pull up the map because I'm gonna get this wrong otherwise. We defeated frost giants in Mirabar and swept them from the city.
Oh my, and that gets a reaction from her. She says frost giants are brutal.
And most recently, we retook Neverwinter from the fire giants and defeated the fire giant king.
She says, you have the trust of my friend. I want to believe what you said. This small group of 7 of you defeating a horde of both frost giants and fire giants. I don't want to say I don't believe you, but that's remarkable.
It's equally remarkable that we're here, though, isn't it?
Yes, in a different way.
So of course it's a different way, but all I say is that we have a knack for doing remarkable things.
Well, is it too much to hope for that you could clear up this whole mess? And then my king would not need to be disturbed and he would come back to the continent.
That seems wishful thinking to me. The cloud giants.
It's not even wishful thinking. It's incorrect thinking. We have a responsibility.
The cloud giants, I think. I agree. The cloud giants, I think, are beyond even our means, particularly given that they have partnered with an evil force, with which we have reckoned only slightly, but I believe merits consideration by the storm giants as well, and that is the shogun of the evil monks from the east, a force of great power among the small people. Our friend, the monk that you have met before, is a former, I guess I wouldn't say disciple, but an apostate from that cause, and is well able to help us understand the strength that they bring to the cloud giants cause.
I don't understand how a small group organization could make the cloud giants stronger, but there are many things I haven't understood, and you're right, I shouldn't have tried to get out of our responsibility. It is incumbent on the storm giants to make this better, and maybe now that you're here, it will have to be done sensitively, but maybe we can bring the truth to King Hecaton and bring him around. There will be people, including King Hecaton, who don't want to hear the truth. As you saw, I didn't want to hear it when you first told me.
Are there allies we might have among the court? The queen or the king's brother, perhaps? Are they more open than Hecaton himself might be and could be convinced?
She says, the queen has a large heart and will want to bring peace if there is violence. She was obviously, you know, ripped apart when she lost her son. And just as much as the king, she would hate to think that that was for nothing. But she has retained her, and you feel like she wants to say sanity, but she doesn't say sanity. She has retained her
Composure.
better in these 75 years. And so she would be willing to talk to us. The king's brother, on the other hand, he just wants things to be stable. He doesn't want things to go bad. Any change is bad. Any news is bad news. So he would be less open to any sort of, we have an expression called rocking the boat. I don't know if that's just a storm giant expression. He wouldn't be up for that.
I'm not really a naval person, so I'm not familiar with that, but I get the concept.
Neither am I.
I have two other things that you should know.
Okay.
One is that one of the members of our party bears a message for King Hecaton himself. I can't tell you what that is, but I think I can tell you it is something that Hecaton deserves to hear himself, if this person is ready to speak his message. And the second thing is a communication that both I and one of my compatriots have had with divinities far exceeding this mortal plane. And that is that there is a larger risk to the world and everything in it than just politics among the giants and the ways they are playing out for the small people. Do you know of the demon prince named Orcus?
She says, that's a name I know. He's a demon prince of the undead. Haven't
He
heard
is
from him.
conspiring with one of the small people, someone with whom we have had engagements and contacts, both neutral and unfriendly ourselves in the past, to bring about the end of all life in this world, giants included.
Okay.
And it is of great importance to us to be able to turn our attention to that fight. We would love the Storm Giants' help. We think that the Storm Giants are very interested in this topic of which you may yet be unaware. But at the very least, if the Storm Giants could bring their power to force the Cloud Giants' plans to ruin, then we, at the very least, can stop our efforts at we can cease being distracted from what may be the larger problem. And that's an important consideration that you probably did not know before.
She says, that's a lot to take in. I can tell you that, you know, we've been apart from the rest of the world for 75 years. And it sounds like that was a mistake. Our first, I won't say first, our pressing problem is to get our giant kin under control. And after we've done that, you'll have our alliance in any war you have with the Prince of the Undead. The Storm Giants will stand behind you.
I think it's important to say we're not here to allocate blame. And if you think that it was a mistake, I respect your judgment in that. But what is most important for us now is to find a way that we can convince Hecaton that intervention is needed and badly and soon.
She says, yes, let me think on that. And I think with all of you providing firsthand testimony, I think we can convince that. Okay, at this point,
can I ask her one question?
Yes.
If we brought news of the prince, and I'm not saying that we do, we may, and I'm not sure. It may be that we have information for Hecaton and his wife that bears on the prince.
She says, she gets a cold look in her eye. She says, no lies will benefit you. No attempts to scam my king will benefit you.
Understood.
I mean this.
We
My
bring,
king's been hurt. Opening up that wound
okay,
will turn everyone in this room against you and more.
understood.
Con men have approached the storm giants before, bearing news of the prince. It did not end well for them.
Can I ask, not because I have any ill will or intention to deceive, are there proofs that Hecaton or those who protect him have asked for with regards to news of the prince? I am not claiming that we have absolute information. I'm saying we may have information that might relate to the prince, that may require judgment from Hecaton.
The con men who came in the past, a simple zone of truth spell was enough to dismiss them.
Okay. Well, I know that we would.
But
tell
even
the
if they had overcome that obstacle, there more proof.
there may be others. I understand, and I can tell you that the information we bring, whether we know it to be correct, we will relate it truthfully.
Be careful on this subject.
I appreciate
Speaking
it.
of, at that point, Neri walks up to you, Thrax, and she says, "It is so nice to have small folk visitors from the continent. You appear to be a man of high adventure and action. Please regale me of tales of adventure."
Okay, so at this point, Thrax reaches back to the litany of his ancestors and starts, blathery about his great uncle in some great war or something. And he kind of proceeds and proceeds. He is not a bard. We could do a performance check if you like. And so he keeps on going, and he gets to the great betrayal in Miranbar and, the death of his brother. And then he keeps on going and explains about, meeting up with the Octopodemos, tells all the stories of our adventures, and then tells about discovering a deep, dark secret of his past, but then he kind of skips over what that secret actually is. And then we keep on going all the way up to the present.
Okay, so you do talk about fighting giants, for example.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Well, basically, Thrax is just laying it all out. He is totally artless when it comes to all this stuff.
Okay. When you get to fighting the giant, she says, "Oh, was this a century ago? Was that, I don't know how old dwarves get. That must have been a long time ago that you were fighting the giants."
Right. Well, Thrax says, "Well, yes, I am 75 years old, but fighting the giants has just been in the last year." And, he gives vaguely accurate month counts or moon counts or something.
She says, "I'm not sure if this could be, roll a persuasion check."
Okay. 11.
Okay. She says, "Yeah, I don't know that this could be true. There's my husband has told me that there's peace among the giants and small folk. Now Vasha, our naturalist, she was raising to me the possibility that there might be violence, but that was just a hypothetical. And my husband and I both agreed that would be, is this a fantastical story you're telling?"
No, right? And so Thrax explains everything about all of the experience with the giants and when it all happened, when it started, and what he's heard.
Okay. At this point, she turns to Vasha and says, Vasha, I've heard a fantastical story from this this fighting man over here. And Vasha sort of looks at you, looks at the queen, says, yeah, I think I've heard the same story. I wasn't able to verify it on my own, but it seems like the evidence is piling up. And the queen asks if it's true, and Vasha says yes, and sort of starting to attract the attention of the rest of the court. And so you've got, Ligeti's still sort of playing his heart, but and he's more focused on just playing with Neil, but all the other four storm giants are listening to you, Thrax, and Neri says, "Can you repeat what you said? The part about the giants and recently."
Yeah, and so Thrax goes back artlessly and explains everything that he's been through, probably without concealing enough.
Okay.
All the way up to the present.
And Uthor says, "This is ridiculous. This is completely impossible. The king has assured us it's not possible. We've gotten those rumors from the mainland. The king has assured us it's not true. And obviously, King Hekaton and Vasha and I were witnesses to the deal that makes such a thing impossible. It can't be." And Val, the king's brother, also says, yes, this is rumors. These small folk, I don't want to accuse them of anything improper, but maybe they're just maybe they're just all bards selling. That one's obviously a bard. They're all bards selling stories for coin. Here, have, and he pulls out like a silver piece like this big. Here, have a silver piece for your story, bard. This can't be true.
Hey,
Do we have any artifacts that are giant size that we can use to prove all this happened?
We turned those into that giant shop to.
You didn't turn everything. For one thing, there's a giant ring that's like on Neil's arm that casts Fireball, but that's from Barovia.
Too.
That's from Barovia.
Yeah.
Did you record anything on your shield, Thrax?
Record anything on my shield?
Doesn't your shield do etchings of? Am I thinking of something different?
Oh, Thrax does scarification on his body.
Ah, that's what it was.
Those could be lies.
True. Okay.
So you mentioned, sir, forgive me, that you were witness to the deal, the contract, if you will, that was made with the hag ever so long ago. We have reason to believe that although the letter of the contract was kept to, that may have been the method by which the storm giants were cheated, in so much as that the phrasing indicated that he would not see the conflict between giants and small folk. And you're on mute, Jay.
No. It was that he wouldn't see any conflict between giants and small folk. You're putting the emphasis on the wrong word.
Sure, which is exactly the way that a fiendish contract maker, hags, ultraloths, etc., would behave.
Of course, says, I thought you were an educated person, a person of letters. That's how educated people speak. You won't see any violence.
Certainly, an educated person that wants to believe the best in others would see only the most positive and generous interpretation. But an educated person that could read between the lines and use the exact phrasing to manipulate a contract into a way that benefits them more than the other party is, I'm afraid, what we're dealing with.
Val speaks up. He says, "Are you suggesting my brother was duped? My brother, the king of the storm giants. You're suggesting he was duped."
Swindled, sir.
Use your next words carefully.
Swindled. Nice.
There is an easy way to determine whether my friend, the barbarian here, is telling the truth. And that is to ask him to tell that story within the zone of truth.
Oh,
Vasha, I know this falls within your domain. Give my friend the opportunity to demonstrate the truth of what he says.
He says, all this would determine is if you're telling the truth or not. That would raise more questions than would answer. And it may raise more problems than it solves. Are you certain you won't do that?
But the very first question that we must satisfy Vol and the rest of these honorables about is whether we are telling the truth about the existence of a conflict between every other species of giant and small folk, of which
Vasha comes up and just whispers to you, Melvin. She says, if we reveal this now, you'll be telling that woman right there that she gave up her son for nothing. She's a strong woman, but I don't know what will happen.
But if we allow Vol to convince her that we are mere bards selling stories for coin, is that better?
Quite a bit, yes.
Is that
Okay.
better? Is that better for
All right.
our project of convincing Hecaton?
And she looks around the room. She says, all of us have the king's best interest at heart in this room. She's looking at the giants, of course, not you people.
Sure.
All of us has the king's best interest at heart. I've started thinking more and more that this may be true, as painful as it is for all of us, especially you, my lady. As painful as it is, we have to at least know if this is true. Neil, are you still playing music to narrate this, to accompany this?
Yeah, I'm trying to on the side, while I'm jamming with Ligeti, we start having conversation because we're such talented musicians. We can talk while
Sure.
we play.
Sure.
But I asked him, what he thinks about all this, what he's doing here, just normal bandmate stuff.
Sure. Yeah, and he says, this is great, man. This is a great place. I get to hang out with the king. They're really nice people. I do try to stay out of these big, when they get to the big decisions, I try to stay out of it because that's just not my jam. I'm the entertainer. And he says, but I can tell you've run into giants before, man. What's with that? Is that a ring? Is that a fire giant ring? And what you have on your arm to let you cast firebolt is, you determined a fire giant ring. Like, is that a fire giant ring on you? That's pretty rad.
Yeah. Got this at the end of a battle that we had.
Oh, you're fighting. So does it do anything cool,
we
or does it just
we
look
took
good?
down quite a number of giants.
Does that ring do anything cool, or does it just look good? It looks sort of magical.
Yeah, it's got some magic. So you mentioned the king. Which one of these is the king?
It says, oh, the king's not here, man. The king's off reading. He does that a lot. No, you know the king. He's a lot skinnier than these guys. He doesn't take care of himself. Half my job is try to get him to eat.
Why does he not eat?
He's bummed, man. He's bummed. Did you hear?
Bummed about what?
He had a baby.
Good to be the king.
No, he had a baby boy that disappeared a long time ago. That was before I was with this group, but everybody in the kingdom knows it. He had a baby boy that just disappeared. Just poof. He's been bummed ever since. He says he's dealing with it fine, but he's just not.
So do you think he would recognize the baby?
If the baby's around, it's grown a lot. So I don't know how to answer that. Don't know how to answer that.
Or was it? Do you know how old the baby was when the baby was disappeared? When the baby was abducted?
Baby, less than a year. Baby.
Hmm.
Yeah, and that was let's see, it was before my second cousin was born, and she's 63, but it was after that big hurricane, probably 70 something years ago.
Hmm. Did the storm giants have a tradition of marking their children with some sort of mark when they're babies?
I don't know what things are like with the small people. No.
Yeah.
Then he says, whoa, man, I'm not trying to be uncool, but that's sort of a nice cushion you're sitting on there, man. What you got on it? And you look
Am I
and
sitting on the magic carpet?
well, no, you're sitting on like a cushion next to him, and like where the top of your back was touching the cushion, there's like a brown stain. And as you move, embarrassingly, where your butt was on the cushion, there's also a brown stain. So he's like, ooh.
What is it? What do you
can I
have, Neil?
investigate
What
that?
is making that mark?
What is that?
Yeah, you take a look at it, and first, you're hoping it's not poop, because that would be embarrassing. You take a close look at it, you smell it, on the top, and then you reach back and you feel that there is something on your back and on your butt. It's a bit of chocolate. A bit of chocolate was on your back and on your butt, which got on the cushion that you were sitting on.
Does he determine that
Where
by
did that come from?
tasting it, or?
Yeah, it's chocolate on you.
Did I see that on the cushion before I sat down?
He says
Apparently not.
that cushion was clean, man. Don't worry, turn it over for now. I'll help you out. I'll get it clean. Don't worry.
Do the rest of us see this as well, or does he end up it's a side conversation at this point? I think he started as a side conversation.
Yeah, I mean, Max is super observant. I don't know if that's what you wanted me to say. I don't know. You want to wander over there, Khalifa? Yeah, sure.
I'm just wondering if anybody can make the link between.
You're trying to be cool and hang out with the musicians, so you wander over there.
No, yeah, sure, but I mean, I don't know if I would necessarily be the one to put it together, but I can try.
I mean, I'll say, even though he's not here, Schmax observes all of this and observes that it's some chocolate on his upper back and chocolate like on his butt, and files that away.
Someone has been dipping our friend in candy.
Pushing on them with candy or kicking them away with candy legs. But
so Ligeti, tell me about the dynamics here among these these storm giants. I know there's the queen, there's King Hecaton's brother. Who else is here?
He says, well, the people in this room are pretty much the movers and the shakers, except for the king himself. There's a number of guards around. There's some chefs. There's some cleaning people. There's people to feed the fish. It's always fun to watch the fish. But really, the most important people, including me, are in this room, except for the king.
Can I cast detect thoughts on the king's brother?
You can. Just wondering if you'll get caught.
Let me see.
Let's see what the components are first of all. Any further thoughts? Yeah, give me a performance check to see how well you can fit it in with your drumming.
16.
Okay. You're doing it, and when you do it, nobody else notices, but Getty gives you a little look and a wink. Or look, Eddie. Sorry, how could I possibly have gotten that wrong? And so at first you get his surface thoughts, and his thought, you know, he's been hearing about the giants and the small folk fighting, and he's just thinking, this is terrible. We can't let this shake things up. The king's gonna overreact. We got to keep things cool, got to keep things calm, can't upset him, got to keep things chill, pretty much along those lines. Not whether it's true or false, but whether just this is going to throw a wrench into, it's going to fuck things up.
Okay. I'm not going to probe any deeper. I don't want him to know.
Okay. So switching back to the larger group is yeah. So Vasha says, okay, I'm casting Ben, are you around for this?
He just stepped away, there he goes.
Yeah.
Okay. So Vasha casts Zone of Truth. Like a 10-foot radius. I'll say she centers it on you. I don't know if anybody else is voluntarily getting caught up in it. And she says, okay, tell us the story as you understand it, sir.
All right. So Thrax tells them the whole story, including the revelation that
You don't, just because you're in Zone of Truth, you don't have to tell everything. You
don't have to
can
tell the
leave
whole
things
truth?
out.
No, you could even keep your lips zipped. You don't.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry, I should have clarified.
All right.
It
cannot
just
Thrax
has
is
to
telling
be
the whole truth
true.
about this.
I'm sorry. You cannot willingly speak a lie. I should have clarified that.
Okay, got it. All right. So he does not. So he mentions that there was a revelation or something like that about his past, but that's probably not what they care about. He's talking about the giants and their attacks and the Octopodemos fight against them and rallying people and, you know, our success, however limited it is. So he tells the whole story.
Okay. And they look around. Neri sits down. She looks like she's going to faint. And all of them so it's the four of them, and you know, Neri looks like she's going to faint. The other three just start arguing with each other. You know, Vasha's saying, I was trying to break it to Hekaton. We've got to bring him into this. We've got to tell him the truth. Uthor and Baal are saying, no, this is, you know, this is not going to accomplish anything. That's just going to make him mad. And as they're going on and arguing, from double doors open up to a large audience hall, and a very thin storm giant dressed in regal robes walks out. Says, sounds like there's quite a commotion here. Oh, we have small folk visitors. It's been so long since we've had visitors from the continent. Welcome. I hope my wife and my court have extended you hospitality. Welcome. I'm sorry that there's such commotion among my court. And he looks at all of them like, how could you behave this way in front of guests?
So while there was disputation going on among the storm giants, I went over to the queen and said, my lady, you look ill. Can I do anything to assist you?
And she says, no, I see you're a man of the divine, and I have no doubt that you could help me physically, but my troubles are in my heart right now, and the fact that you offered is good enough.
Okay.
So they sort of all fall silent and look at the king, And Vasha says, Your Highness, we've learned some news that you need to hear. And Uthor and Val are like, no, he does not. It's a rumor. It's, small folk are easily confused. Someone has clearly befuddled this dwarf. And Hekaton says, no, if there is news I must hear it. Vasha, what is this? And Vasha says, she turns to you, Melvin, and she says, would you like to tell him? You're the one who's clicked with her the most.
Your Highness, we come bearing ill tidings, and for that, I apologize. I can only offer you words that will disquiet you and dishearten you, I'm sure. But it is the truth as we know it, and we hope that you will hear it in that spirit. My friend, the dwarf, has recited our tale multiple times, and he sits before you within a zone of truth that we hope offers some proof of our goodwill in providing these tales to you. But I hope you will listen to what he has to say and then allow us to discuss with you how we hope you and the powers that you hold at your command may help us. And by us, I mean not just those of you before, the small folk you see before you, but the small folk everywhere on this continent that the storm giants have long protected. And then I give it to Thrax and let him take the floor again.
All right.
All right. So Thrax says, my lord, I can give you a
Third or
summary.
the fourth time you've told this.
Yeah. So it's like, I can give you a summary, but I believe you've heard it. Are there questions that you want answers to? Is there anything that I can tell you? I can say things from my own experience.
Nobody's directly told him that there's, he's heard, I guess he has gotten messages from the mainland saying there's a war, and he reached out with his senses and said, no, there's not.
So he wasn't eavesdropping on us the last 3 times I told the tale.
No.
Okay.
He just came in because there was a big hubbub. All right. So, and as soon as you get to, as soon as you start in with the giants all attacking at once, he says, my friend, I hate to stop you. You're mistaken. I've heard these rumors. I heard them from the Open Lord of Waterdeep, Laryl Silverhand, for whom I have the utmost respect. But she and you must be confused because, hold on. And he sits there for about 15 seconds. He says, I've reached out with my senses, and I can tell you there is no conflict between giants and small folk. Someone must be confusing you, some wizard with illusion magic or something. I'm sorry you've come all the way out here under such a mistaken impression. But I've confirmed for myself with my senses that there is no conflict between giants and small folk.
So this is where Thrax says that he believes there is a curse blocking his sensing.
And I explain it in more technical, arcane terms, and
well, at this point,
and explain that he was potentially swindled by the original deal due to some unfortunate lawyer speak. No offense intended.
Yeah, and Vasha is his trusted advisor, and she's figured all this out. So that's when she points this out to him, and then he sits down next to his wife, and he freaking loses it. He just starts crying. She's comforting him, even though she's upset. He's like, "This is not possible. It's not possible. I could have given up my son. It's bad enough that he was taken from me in exchange for peace. To lose him for nothing." That's sort of what you're getting between sobs, is lost him for nothing.
My lord, clearly this is an emotional thing to bear, and I assure you that we're not here just as emissaries of this information, although coming to seek your aid in writing this loosing of all the giant races upon the small folk was our initial goal. We also present ourselves in order to try to help if we can. And I'll kind of look over at Thrax, because again, I don't want to spill any beans.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's time to spill the beans.
All right,
So
tell me what
Yeah,
you're going to
so-
say.
so Thrax explains that, well, he understands the king and queen are saddened by the loss of their child, that he has a mystery that he is trying to resolve himself that ties to their loss. And he explains everything he was told and all of his observations. And he says,
Can you give me some? I'm sorry to put
Right,
you on the
so-
spot,
so-
but like, what do you say?
right. Right. So he explains that he's learned that he was delivered to his parents as a child 75 years ago, and that ever since then he's been immune to lightning, and that, and he goes through all of this and explains whoever it was who told him that he was the son of the storm giant king. And
Nobody
queen.
ever told you that.
Nobody did. Okay, right. Well, so
Nobody ever told
this
you
is,
that.
he explains that he explains that he 75 years ago he was delivered, and he appears to be a storm giant, and he cannot explain why he appears to be a dwarf. So it seems that he's a storm giant, but he's in the guise of a dwarf. He does not understand this. It is a great mystery. If there's
Okay.
any way they can help him understand this, he would be eternally grateful.
And at this point, everybody starts talking at once, and that's where we're going to end today.
Awesome.
Cliffhanger. I love it.
Are we rolling initiative?
The court erupts.
Excellent.
All right.
All right.
And then Cooper Black comes out from behind the curtain.
No, see, now we gotta convince them to send us to get Morgie to get revenge, and maybe they can help us ferret out Cooper Black, and then we can keep all those sweet artifacts.
All the toys, yeah. I want to see Melvin suit up, man. I think he's
All
the only
right.
one who can use all three, I think.
So,
True.
Jay, this raises a question I wanted to ask you.
Mhm.
So clerics generally aren't allowed to use edge weapons.
I mean, in 5e, that's not really a rule, sort of
Oh.
tradition.
And Blaze had that special thing that like you just had to be level 5 to be proficient or something.
Well, you can be proficient, but still be barred from using.
Oh, like forbidden. I see.
Yeah. So, but if that's not a thing in 5e, that's not a thing. So
No.
Okay.
You use pointy weapons.
I was wondering whether that was still okay or not.
Yeah, I think that's in earlier editions, which, again,
Yeah, I
some people
remember
choose
that
to
from
do
when I
that.
was a kid, but yeah,
Okay.
you could
Well,
suit up.
maybe if
So Ben,
if
I
we
didn't know
hold
how
on
much
to
you
them-
would. I didn't know how much you would embrace your heritage, Ben. I thought you might still be in denial, or.
Well, I mean, Thrax still thinks of himself as a dwarf, but there's a mystery he wants to get to the bottom of. And if there's any way that the giants can help, great.
All right.
Awesome.
Some may help, some may not. Ooh, let me stop recording.